Welcome to the Wayne Bennett Podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Welcome to Wayne Bennett's Podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Bennett, and this is episode 180. It's December the 22nd, 2025. It's the day after the winter solstice, which was the shortest day and the longest night of the year. And our guest today has several different titles. Has been the administrative, Raleigh County administrator, has been the community volunteer, he's a local historian, and we'll get into some other titles later. But thank you for coming, Clayton Terry.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you were born in January 1953, and you weighed 9 pounds and 6 ounces.
Pretty good size.
You gained some weight.
Yeah.
But you're about the third or fourth person I've had from Midway. I had Mike Kinsley and Neil Lacey and what was it, Midway Blue Eagles? Was that
Midway Blue Eagles? Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder who the Bluehawks and the Blue.
I don't know. Matter of fact, Gary Kennedy and I was talking about that the other night. I said, I don't know. We went from Blue Eagle to a Blue Hawk, and then my time at Beckley College, I was a Blue Hawk. And
That's
so,
right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you like the color blue.
Yeah.
Well,
I've never seen a Blue Hawk or a Blue Eagle.
I had an uncle that lived up around Midway, Bennett.
Oh yeah, no Benny well.
Yeah, and then I had one up there, Ray Kincaid, Daryl Kincaid's family. He's Daryl's cousin of mine, and Ray was my mom's brother, and so they now you can't talk about Sophia unless the name Albert Van Airy comes up, or Dennis Saunders. And was Albert Van Airy ever kin to Paul Van Airy? Do you know anything about that?
I don't think they were kin. If they were distant cousins.
Yeah.
At the best.
Yeah. Now, did Albert have kids?
No, and that's what amazes me about Albert. To be honest with you, he started Sophia Little League. He started Major League Football. He never had any kids or grandkids or anything. He participated in that. He took it on his own to start those programs, and a great job with it.
And he did it for quite a few years.
Oh yeah.
What about the Saunders guy? Did he have kids?
Oh yeah, he had 2 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
Freddie Saunders and Davy. They both participated in sports there.
I didn't know that was his dad.
Yeah.
You were in a group that kind of followed the Sophia baseball. Those guys were kind of legendary.
Yeah.
You were Joe Goddard and Neff and all those guys, and you come in a group kind of right behind them.
Yeah, well, we was 2 years behind them in school. I was a sophomore when they were seniors. Matter of fact, baseball, I was last guy cut that year, I guess, if they went to the state tournament. Coach Lacey come talk to me. He said, I got Joe Goddard, I got Gary Griffith. I really don't need a third catcher.
Yeah.
He gave me the opportunity. I could have dressed for home games, and there was a lot of guys got to do that, but they wasn't on the travel squad, and I just chose, not to do that. But he told me at the same time, he said, you get back out here next year, you'll have an opportunity to play and participate. And I caught most of the games my junior year.
Now, when you something I noticed about doing a little research, even from a young age, all the way up until now, you've been a participant in a lot of weddings as an usher or best man. You've been a pallbearer for I don't know how many.
Yeah.
So you must be a pretty popular guy, I guess, or you don't say no.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to turn things down in those situations, but.
You remember, of course, probably the first one you ever done, Margie Terry.
She's my,
You were an usher for their wedding, and couldn't have been, what, 4 or 5 years old?
oh yeah, I wasn't very old. She was my cousin, and she actually married my uncle on my mother's side, and she's my cousin on my dad's side. You know, they weren't having any relations herself, but that was good. She married Earl Richards.
Now, you had, when you were about 10 or 11, you were an alternate on the All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, you were on the All-Star team in Little League. That was with Terry Poe and the Spicer brothers, and those Spicer boys. I watched them come all the way up, and they were good athletes. And even when they got over in the Industrial League in basketball, I loved to watch them guys play, and they were competitors all the time.
I'll tell you, Jeff Spicer was just as good a shooter as anybody I've ever seen. You know, that year, our senior year, they got beat in the regional finals, but you know they just lost 2 games that year. But you give him a set shot in that corner. If they'd had 3-point play then, I don't know how many points he would have scored. I mean, he didn't miss.
Did he play any in college?
No. Yeah.
But the year when you were 11 or 12, and you guys were in the All-Star, you played against Beckley West or whatever.
Yeah.
That's that bunch, Kenny Fox and Tom, the Shepherd. Let's see.
Rappold boy. And,
Rappold, Tom Rappold,
Yeah.
and that bunch. And the thing I remember about that game is Sellers was pitching, Billy Sellers, I guess, and he struck out about 15, and y'all still lost.
Yeah.
And well, you made the last out of the game.
I
Didn't
did,
you?
yeah. Yeah, I hit a pretty sharp ball on that thing. The guy made a great play on it, and I think that's the game. Maybe in the Oak Hill the following year. That may have happened. I forget anyway. But,
So baseball was the first organized sport that you played.
oh yeah.
Did they have youth football? I know they had youth football. Did you?
Not then, not at Sophia.
Not at Sophia. It was back then. It would have been Beckley South, I think, or something.
Yeah, we weren't fortunate enough to get to participate in Major League Football. It'd been wonderful we had. I mean, that's a good starting point. But,
So you didn't start playing football till the 9th grade?
yeah, freshman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
I was a short, little stubby guy, about 5 foot, 150.
There were when they had the 5 teams in Beckley, like South, I think took some of the Crab Orchard kids and stuff like that. I played for East Beckley, and we had kids from Shady playing with us. Because they didn't have no team either. Actually, we had as many Shady guys as we did East Beckley guys, and then out this way was Bowling Edition. North was towards Prosperity. They had some Mount Hope guys because nobody else had teams back then, you know. And I don't know how strict they were about checking people. I don't know whether it mattered where they lived or what, you know.
I don't even think that any Sophia Midway kids was even offered the opportunity to play in any of those.
Yeah. But, now, when you went to Sophia High School in the 9th grade, Jess Lacey, was he the 9th grade coach too?
Bob Douglas was.
Bob Douglas.
Yeah, he was freshman coach. Lacey was varsity.
That's only 2 coaches they had?
Yeah, actually, there's only 4, my recollection, football coaches at the time Sophia was started. You know, that. And same way with baseball, just 3 or 4 of them. There wasn't a bunch of coaches that went through Sophia. When they got there, they stayed.
Yeah.
You take Bob Douglas, you know, the school wasn't there for 33 years, and he was there about 30 of them. Coach Lacey started when in the mid-50s or something, started coaching. He stayed there until almost the end of it. So. In between there, Carl Neff Ended up being a principal. He coached baseball a year or two, and I think maybe some basketball one year or something.
Yeah. Coach Douglas, and I've said this before on some of my podcasts, that he was a great guy. You know, when I was at Sophia Elementary, he would let us come down and practice some in the gym after the high school was practicing, and he would stay there with us, keep the gym open for us. And he used to have a camp down here on the New River.
Yeah.
And he, I think it might have been the last time I saw him was down there in that area. But now, you and Eric were guards on the football team. Did y'all pull any back then, or did you?
Oh yeah, guard. You know, we always pulled on. You know, play was a 28 or a 38 or whatever that call was. You pulled, tried to spring it halfback, and we both played defense. I was a linebacker, and we used the end. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, back when the offenses and stuff weren't so complicated. Now I don't know what they run, but when I played a little bit, they always said, "Watch the guards; they'll take you to the play. The guards gonna take you to the play."
Yeah, and they did. You know, that's where that guard was going. That's where the play was going.
That was usually what you would look for. Now, you do you remember going to a birthday party for Gloria Lambert? 16th birthday party.
Not really.
It was at the Midway Scout.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
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 And you don't remember, must not have been much of a party. Were you in the Boy Scouts any ever?
Oh yeah, I was in Boy Scouts. Coach Lacey was the scoutmaster when I was in there. You know.
How far did you go up with the Scouts?
I wasn't much above a tenderfoot, I guess. Now, I got a few. Matter of fact, I was going through stuff the other day and found the old Boy Scout book and 2 or 3 of the medals you get and everything. But no, I was nowhere near Eagle Scout. But we had a good troop there and a lot of fun. He took us to play.
Yeah, didn't join the Scouts till late, and I was in like 9th grade when I joined, and I didn't stay in very long because then I had sports in high school and stuff, and I didn't have much time, and so I think I stayed about a year and a half, but it's one of them things that I never forget. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, immediate, cheerful, threat. I never forgot that stuff.
Yeah, sticks with me. Yeah.
And but it was a good experience. Now, you beat Mullins in 1969. I think you guys won the first game, but you only won about 3 or 4 games that year, I think. I'm not sure.
I think we ended up winning 5. We had a great start. You know, we played, I think we opened up against Marlton. They'd won like 30 games in a row, 3 straight championships. And we went up there and we tied them 8-8. It broke their winning streak. And then
but you was playing you were playing baseball too that year. One year, might have been your junior year. I think it was a sectional. You pitched against Mullins.
Yeah, and I don't know what, we run out of pitchers or something.
But Mark Sandy was pitching for Mullins. Yeah.
It seemed like anytime you played Mullins, you'd either faced Mark Sandy or Denny Houck. I think there's only 2 pitchers down there, But I don't know why I ended up pitching in that game, but
you won that game, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know how. I wasn't much of a pitcher.
They gave you second chance. Yeah. Well, you were playing in the senior little league in '68, and you had that same year. We're talking about weddings and Bennett pallbearer. That's when Bob Clay married your sister, right?
Yeah.
In '68.
Yeah, my sophomore season. Matter of fact, I was practicing football, and he came down there, and after football practice, I went to be their best man.
Nice. Bob's been on our podcast a couple of times, and he just came out with a book Just here recently, I read that the Fayette and Maine, corner of Fayette and Maine, and he gave me a book one time on fly fishing, and he's a master at that.
Oh yeah, he's very good at it. He's taught all over the country, and he really misses that now. Fishing, not being able to do those things.
But he makes some nice fishing rods.
Oh yeah,
too.
he does. Yeah.
He was telling me how much some of the things people would pay for some of those fly rods, $15,000-$20,000. I said they'd have to go get the fish itself, and I'm gonna buy that thing and pay that much for it. But now you had, but baseball seemed to be your forte. I mean that seemed to be the sport you were better in than. Did you do anything in the winter time? Did you wrestle any?
No, I never did wrestle anything. Yeah.
No basketball?
No, I was under Coach Douglas. He considered me one of those midway hoodlums. But no, I never did play any basketball. I played in grade school, and I think I may have played my freshman year. But anyway, I was a short, stubby guy. But sometime between my freshman year and sophomore year, I ended up growing to be about 5'9", 5'10", 170 pounds, and kind of sprouted up. I was fortunate to play football about mid-season. Someone got hurt, and Coach Kersey, he more or less seen over the defense, and I think I was just at the right place at the right time. He sent me in there to be outside linebacker, and after that happened, I ended up sophomore starting the rest of the season. I was lucky. Neil Hawkins, and I know you know Neil, he was played defensive end on that side in front of me. And he'd say, now, they come our way, I'm going to take the blocker out and you get the tackle. So he helped me out a great deal there. So.
Yeah, Neil just passed away. He worked with me up at the Park Junior High for years before he went over to Independence, and he was. I can tell you some stories. Probably we shouldn't be on a podcast, but Neil was a good coach too.
Oh yeah,
Neil did it.
But Neil and Johnny, they were my next door neighbors in Midway. Yeah.
Now you had when you were in the ninth or the 12th grade, you had to play in baseball. You had to play Greenbrier East, didn't you, in the sectional or region?
In the region, they beat us in the regional final up there.
That's when all the teams played together.
Yeah, there wasn't no classification in baseball then. Yeah, they were in football and basketball, but baseball, it was all open.
They had that Galloway boy back then he was striking out about 16, 17 people a game.
Yeah, we had a bad first inning there and gave up, I forget, 5 or 6 runs. We never could recoup, But we had a good baseball team that year.
Coach, this was Lacey the
Coach
coach?
Lacey, yeah.
Now later on you played for West Virginia Bell down that Warren Williams leg.
Yeah, West Virginia Bell had just had started that year going to put a team in there. And a guy come over, and I guess he'd seen us play baseball some at Sophia, and I believe his name is Dennis Browse, was going to coach that. And to be honest with you, he didn't know anything about baseball. But he come over and talked to a bunch of us, and he said, look, he said, if you'll come play with us, I'll draft all of you. Warren Williams will draft. So just about everybody on the team said, okay, yeah, we'll give you a shot. Bill Sellerts and Richie Osmond went and played American Legion. The rest of us went to Warren Williams. Tyke Black, Jeff Spicer, Jerome Spicer. We went over there, we lost 1 game in 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I had...
Matter of fact, who was the great football coach at Woodrow back then, went to Pulaski.
Wiseman?
Joel Hicks.
Oh, okay.
He would broadcast those games, or be the announcer in the press box. And after a game, he asked me one time, he said, how come you guys are, seasoned and play this well? What you got to understand back then, in Raleigh County, the only high school baseball teams was Woodrow, Sophia, and Marsh Fork. We we'd go over and play in that league, and we'd already have 20, 25 games under our belt, We was pretty tough.
Yeah, that Marsh Fork had a guy named Jerry Combs, I think, pitched down there, was a real good ball player. And
Had Kenny Dickens, good ball player down there.
I got drafted in at Warren Williams, but I worked out of town during the summer and never got to play. I think Post 32 drafted me that one particular year, but I'd go to Washington to work in the summertime, save some money, and come back home. So never got to play. But Warren Williams was, I think, a local businessman that just raised money to build that field and stuff, and they named it after. A lot of people don't know who Warren Williams was,
Yeah.
but I don't think he was any kind of a baseball great or anything. He just somebody wanted to do something for the community.
It was a good league.
Yeah, and but the baseball's kind of dropped off significantly. Now you talk one year when y'all were getting ready to play football, David Black was going to be the quarterback for a while, and then the Sellers, I think, ended up taking the job.
We went, Tyke, Black David, was quarterback our junior year. And I don't know what it is with Sophia, but they always seem to have the shortest guy on the team as the quarterback.
Bob was the quarterback.
Yeah. So we went and, Bob played, Don Sella, I can go, Wayne Bowman, I can go through the list, Wayne Willis, all of them short people, But we went and talked Billy into going out that year, And so he decided to, and ended up moving in quarterback. So he, had a great arm, and they moved Tyke to halfback, and which really fit Tyke great because I don't remember Tyke scoring 4 and 5 run TDs. But man, he had a lot of long runs, 30, 40, 50 yard TDs, and I was fortunate I was right guard. And, I hope I sprang him a couple of those.
You were in his wedding, weren't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Now, was he used to own the bar over?
Oh, no.
That's a different Black.
No, that's a different Black.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether it was him or not. But now, did you work in high school? Did you have time to work in?
I worked some at Acme Market.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about when you graduated? You graduated in 70?
70, yeah.
What'd you do when you graduated? What'd you go into?
I was planning on going to West Virginia Tech, but that never materialized. I went to Michigan to work for the summer and ended up making pretty good money, and I just stayed there for a long time. Come back in one time, and Benny Jones, we had the opportunity to take over the pool room in Sophia, and we ended up doing that. Had that for several years.
Oh.
Yeah, then I went to work for Joe Lively as a crane operator. Well, started out hanging steel, ended up being a crane operator, and I could see that, Joe Lively wasn't going to be around forever, so I decided I better go back to school. So I went to Beckley College some.
Yeah, I know. I saw a picture one time or something in the paper where you still in high school. You was going on a tour or something at West Virginia Tech down there. I just saw in the paper today where they only have 1,200 students there now.
I seen it was down 25% or something.
Got that new facility.
Yeah.
I mean, nice, one of the nicest facilities in the state, and they can't seem to draw more kids in there. And my solution is they need to offer some more programs. I mean, not everybody's going to be an engineer or a nurse or a computer analyst, and they're not drawing the people that's going to add to their population, and you can't. That's one of the reasons it's kind of hard to recruit sports wise too. I mean, they're not all engineers and stuff that's playing basketball.
That's right.
So, if you want to have But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I think I love the school being here, and they got the best new buildings. They got great facilities, and I just like to see them grow. But they're kind of stepping backwards. I'm not sure what's.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me when I read that this morning because, when West Virginia Tech decided to come here, that's going to be really a plus for Beckley and Raleigh County area. And I think in the long run it'll pan out and will be. Like I said, they'll eventually figure it out. Biggest thing, probably WVU if they start bringing some medical facilities to Beckley and they're starting to team up all around the area and doing some things now.
We've had as we're getting older and maturing. Some of us had different situations. In 1974 wasn't a great year for you. You and Doug Chella got arrested down at Bordenberger fighting or something down there. Who were y'all fighting?
It was me and Don Sella, wasn't it? I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I call him Doug.
Huh?
I can call him Doug.
Yeah, Duck, yeah. And anyway, I'd already ordered and I was already sitting back there eating my burger and he got into an argument with a couple of guys there at the counter and fists started flying. I just threw the sandwich down and got into it and we went to jail.
Trying to help a buddy out.
Yeah.
Well, the same year, down on Valley Drive, you had a little fender bender. Of course, there was no charges on that one. You remember that? Where you hit somebody down there or around that area? And then a little bit later, the police must have had your number. They pulled you over and you didn't have your driver's license. Of course, there was no charges on that.
Yeah.
But I think it might have been best for not to go down on Valley Drive.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I got the only ticket I ever got. I was driving a Webb's Floors truck, a van. It pulled out of Rosenquestenberry, and back then I only got paid till 5 o'clock, and it was about 4:45. And I pulled out of there trying to get back to Crab Orchard to get that so I wouldn't have to clock in late. And the policeman, Dickie Lilly, who got killed by Ron Williams, Dickie Lilly pulled me over for speed. And I just had 3 speed on the column and just had hit third gear going up South Canal Street. And he pulled me over. Well, I was scared because I thought I'd lose my job. And because getting a speeding ticket and he said, "No, we won't put that in the paper. We're not gonna put this in there. Don't worry." And I said, "Okay." I was only like $25 back then, but it was a lot of money. But as the only ticket I ever got, I probably should have got a lot more. That was that one. But now you had. Now, was Don Chella, was he in the same class you was in, or he was ahead?
Don was 2 years ahead. I was sophomore and he's a senior.
You seen him lately?
Yeah, I was talking to him the other day.
He retired finally.
Yeah, he's had some major health problems. He's had a shoulder replaced and things of that nature. But we have a chat group that talks WVU sports and pro and college sports, 5 or 6 of us, Louis Pernesti and Gary Kennedy, Tyke Black, Rudy Paul, so.
Now, in '76, when Benny Jones and guys started Beckley Jaycee's, Bob Clay.
Bob Clay was state president then, but Bluefield chapter came up and extended us, and started chapter up there, and it's a pretty good little chapter. So.
Y'all did toys for tots and all kinds of different activities.
Yeah.
They still have Jaycees around?
There's only one Jaycee chapter left in the state, I think. Yeah. I think it's up Parkersburg.
And you were pretty busy with, I know you guys put on, they used to, for fundraisers, they used to have these independent basketball tournaments.
Yeah.
And Sophia had some good ones, man. And I mean, they would bring in these guys, Tom Cheney and all them guys. And I used to go down there and watch them. And I thought Tom Cheney was, you're talking about a 3-point shot. If that had a 3-point shot then, I mean, that guy would average 45 points a game at WV Tech. But I went down there one night and Wilma Rudolph was there. You remember that? When
Wilma, yeah.
they were,
yeah.
Her
Her
husband
husband was on,
played for South Charleston
Yeah.
team, and he was a good athlete. And they were going to honor her, or they did honor her. But he got into some kind of ruckus or something in the game and got thrown out of the ball game.
Yeah.
You remember when that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
It was, you know, she came and her husband gets thrown out of the game, and they're going to honor her because she's been a Olympic athlete and all that stuff. It was something else. But some of the best basketball games I ever seen was at those independent leagues. But what happened? There were several. There was no sanctioning body or nothing, so those guys nobody would referee.
Oh yeah.
Everybody,
yeah.
you know, these big guys, and they would give the referees a hard time, and it got to a point the referees wouldn't do it anymore. But now you worked for the public service district when'd you start with them?
County?
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked county commission. I started in 89.
89.
Yeah. Retired in 2017.
Now, was that a politics job or something?
Well, it probably has something to do with it. Don Barrow ended up being the one that hired me, but I think Paul Flanagan from Sophia, we were good friends, and they decided they was going to do a zoning ordinance and wanted an enforcement officer. And
Yeah.
they thought I fit the bill and everything, so they hired me on as that, and ended up the zoning ordinance was never adopted, full blown. So I kind of went and talked to him. I said, let's kind of just piecemeal this thing, do it a little bit at a time, and see, end up pretty good planning and zoning ordinance in the county. And,
That would be an exciting job, I would think. You had some controversies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and you'd have to learn the law too.
Yeah.
Man. I know when they were talking about building a golf course down at Stevens Lake. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
And why did they finally put the axe on that?
Actually, who put the axe on that was Governor Wise. It's going to be called the Arnold Palmer Golf Trail. It's going to be 8 courses starting in Wheeling, coming down through the state. And luckily, Lake Stevens was chosen to be a site for one of those. Unfortunately, Wise became governor and he killed that project. He wanted NASCAR. He thought West Virginia needed NASCAR more than it did golf courses. And the guy from NASCAR, he came and visited all those sites. And be quite honest with you, he told me, he said, West Virginia will never get a NASCAR site. They don't have the infrastructure for it. He said maybe sometime in the future might get a truck series or something like that somewhere. But he said, we don't have to come here. He said, you come to us. That's basically what he told me, which is true. West Virginia traveled to the NASCAR sites. So.
Well, it was a good thing because then they started closing the NASCAR. I mean, Winston-Salem, all them places. They started Rockingham, and then the same way with the golf courses. At one time, all you're seeing in Forbes magazine and stuff, build golf courses. That's going to be the big thing. Everybody was building golf courses, and then all of a sudden, Myrtle Beach and everybody started shutting them down. And
I believe that had a chance to be with Arnold Palmer's name on it, and plus it's going to kind of fashion the Alabama Golf Trail, which is very successful, and that was kind of what it's going to be patterned after. So it had a chance for it. And it was a beautiful layout. The guy that They done been in design stage and everything, so, but things happen. There's a lot of pressure from the chamber and their members, that shouldn't do that. But
then we've got a few. Used to be the old days. You only Grandview opened up, but before you even had Grandview, you had Twin Oaks and Coolidge, and Black Knight was private, and there wasn't many golf courses around. And,
no.
And then, of course, the Briar Patch and Grandview got. Do you remember the par 3 course out on 4H Lake Road?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you play some golf, don't you?
Yeah.
I remember seeing your name up there at the Greenbrier Hills tournament a few times.
Yeah, we used to play that every year. Yeah.
I like it. I got a little place up there close, about 4 miles from there, and I go down there and play. I go down there sometimes in the morning and play before they even open.
Oh,
just
right?
hanging when I get done. Yeah. But it's they got out of the 9-hole courses. 9 holes. I think 3 of them are par 3s. Maybe it's not too bad.
It's a fun little golf course.
Now you had another controversial thing that came along. I was trying to think of what that was. Now I can't remember. I'll think of it in a minute. But you got into selling real estate too, didn't you?
I sold some on the side, yeah. But, yeah. Mike Towery talked me into that. He said, y'all try to sell a little real estate. And so I went and got my license. And there's professional house hunters in that. You show them every house in the county, but they're not going to buy anything.
Well, I went to, I sold real estate for a few years, and I was still teaching school, and I actually quit selling real estate because I got too busy, and I was showing houses after work and on weekends and stuff, and a person called me on Easter Sunday, and they were coming through town. They wanted to see a house over here in Stanford, and Stanford Acres, and I went and showed it to them, and they were in transit, so that's why they had to have it done right then. And I came home. I told my wife, I said, I don't think I want to do this anymore. But we missed the money, after I quit, but I just couldn't. I didn't have time to do anything. And plus, at that time, they were trying to get rid of I was considered a part-timer, and they were trying to get rid of part-timers. They were requiring more fees and lock boxes and stuff like that. And they were trying to squeeze this out. But now it's just wide open. I mean, there's most of these companies don't even have brick and mortar offices. They do it out of their homes and just sell a house anywhere in the state. It's just wide open. But I don't know. And seems like these guys are doing quite well. Yeah. You ever thought about getting back into it?
No. I'm past that stage now. I still do a little asbestos inspections on the side and have things. I do all little generals and several contractors in the county. And
when you were working for the county, you was kind of a catch-all. You were a humane officer for a while, weren't you?
No, when we started, I wrote that ordinance for dogs, and so they kind of put me over to just oversee the couple guys that was doing that, and I like to say I'll catch y'all. They had me over the maintenance people, and I done everything that the county administrator didn't want to do. I was assistant administrator, and
what I was trying to think of was you guys dissolved the recreation department.
Yes, you did.
Tell me about that. What happened in that case?
Well, there's a gentleman, I guess he kind of got peeved down there, and he called the state in and had an investigation done on the Recreation Authority. And the lady actually from the state tax department, when she put the numbers together, she acted like the thing was open year round, 12 months a year, and so you got 100 camping sites, and it's X amount of dollars for this each month, and end up like $500,000 or something was missing, which is no, it was only open 6 months a year, and you didn't, bring in that, it's never at 100% capacity, and then she was doing all that figuring. So actually, Bill Baker was commissioner then, and he talked to me about it, and what we're going to do. And I kind of said, let's put a new board together and go from there and see what we can do. And he said, well, you come up with some people and bring them to me, and we'll look it over and see. And the first person I went and got was John Wooten, well-respected attorney, and I knew he knew how to handle controversy, and that, I got him. I got Bill Miller, who at that time was NRA National Vice President, myself, Jim Holthouse, who headed up Southern West Virginia Convention Bureau, and we kept Pat Duncan. She stayed down at the lake all the time through the summer, so we left her on that. She was already on that board, and I said, let's leave her on there because she's got rapport with the people that stays there and everything. So ended up we got it straightened out, and finally proved that all that money wasn't missing. There wasn't that kind of dollars and it's even created down there. So, but the girls run that thing now. Molly's doing a wonderful job with it.
Yeah. Well, she's over. I mean, of course, Fitzpatrick was at one time was a softball maker,
Oh, yeah.
but softball business has died. I mean, when I actually ran Fitzpatrick Park one year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but the deal I had, and I don't know what happened, but when they first moved down there, that's when I was at the park, and it seemed like it was a Lawson guy. I think his last name was Lawson. I can't remember, but anyway, he was on the rec board, and he came to me and he said, we don't want to hire a director, and we need somebody to run that thing. And so basically, I ran it. We had 60 teams. We had 30 some open teams, 18 or 16 church teams. We had women's, and all I did it for the money that I made came from the tournaments I had and from the entry fees the teams paid, and I had to pay the umpires. I had to handle everything, and I would go in 7 o'clock every morning and get 3 prisoners out of jail and take them down there, and every 3 days they worked, they'd get a day off their sentence. And those guys were great, man. I mean, they mowed the grass, they painted, they did whatever you wanted to do. I leased the concession stand out to some people, and had a good summer weather-wise, and I made all kinds of money that year.
Is that right?
I was down there every night, 7 days a week, and I was ready to do it again, but the county took it back. And Jeff Graham, they hired Jeff Graham, and he did a great job. Jeff moved down there with a trailer, and shoot, man, it just took off after that. But yeah, I did it. It might have been the first year they actually, because I was running it when it was in Beckley, and I worked for the Y at that time, and I was running the city softball. And then when they moved to Fitzpatrick, they got bigger. But it was, but now the softball just everywhere, all the way across the country. It just seems like it's died out and don't get quite as many teams and stuff. But it's a nice park that they have. And now you had this. city zoning, I actually went to you one time about getting something rezoned to commercial, and you kind of helped me out, get, what I had to do and paper. I ended up, I didn't really know what I wanted to use it for. I just wanted to get it zoned commercial, and that I never did follow through with it. But you must have been pretty good at what you were doing, because I mean they put you on everything. You were on the Armory board too for a while.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
How did that? I was over at the Armory this past weekend, and a good crowd, everything, but the facility was built in 1962, and we just need something bigger in Beckley. You think we'll ever get anything around here, a big civic center?
Well, that Exit 44 at one time tried to, actually that's where Tamarack's at now. They wanted to do it. We looked at doing a new civic center there and maybe have some hotel stuff. And Tamarack ended up there, but it never did fill it. Like I say, the Armory's it's getting antiquated, and I tried to get them when they was redoing the dome.
Yeah.
Put a new roof on it. We had WU Tech come there. I said, I'm not sure I wouldn't make that thing gold and blue right now. So I would have tried to maybe lead Tech into taking that place over where they'd have classes there, and plus, they've got volleyball and basketball, and they could use those facilities,
Yeah.
things of that nature. But that's probably won't materialize.
It can still handle, most of the things that they have there, but I mean, we'll never be able to have the huge concert or anything like that. Are you familiar with what they were talking about, the amphitheater where the police shooting range is around that area?
Yeah. I'm a little familiar with it. I'm kind of out of touch on all that stuff, but there's some good ideals going around the county, and the city, but it's, it all comes down to population and getting the right people in here to do it. I don't know. I've said several times it wasn't for the highway system to Beckley with, there may be some tumbleweeds growing down the streets, but, and we continue to lose population.
Yeah.
I know when I started the county, it seemed like we was right at about 90,000, and I think when I left, we was down to 78,000 or something countywide. I know the city's lost from 20 to 15,000 or something of that nature. But back at the Armory, you had the coal companies that really every year they would put on a huge Christmas party for their employees, and that was our goal. And Hamp Hensley just done a tremendous job out there. He'd kind of break you even all year, and then when you had the Christmas parties, that was your windfall.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Army they don't have those things now. Those coal companies don't exist, and through those parts, they've lost a great deal of revenue, I'm sure, in that situation. So.
Well, doesn't the county and the city?
County, city, and Board of Education. And that was set up, the National Guard. We paid $25,000 a year towards it, the facility. When the National Guard left and built a new facility in Fayette County, that left the three entities having to, take care of the responsibility of the bills for all that. It just doesn't generate that kind of income. I don't know what the county's paying for it, in each entity, But the board was never big on it either. But same token, I know when I was on the board, they said we're going to drop out of it. We're not going to get our 25,000, and that was would put a big dent in things, as far as the rest of them. And I took a position. I said that's fine. But we'll start charging Woodrow about $2,500 every time they play in this facility. So they rethought that and chipped in the 25,000. But I'm sure it's a struggle out there, and but Andrea seems to do a pretty good job with it.
Well, that's another thing with the if we build a facility like that, we would probably cut into Charleston's. Huntington has some big concerts and stuff, but they get a lot of Kentucky and Ohio people. And
Yeah,
stuff.
they're border. And
Charleston,
Charleston's losing tons of people all the time too. You look at the mall. There's nothing left in.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
They closed 2 or 3 stores the other day.
Yeah.
And but they're getting all the state tournaments and stuff down there, but the people don't have no place to go. You come out there, you get a couple. You can walk a block or two and find something to eat, but there's nothing in the mall.
Yeah.
And so it's and we're closing schools. We're consolidating schools. Raleigh County's. We're kind of ahead of some of the other counties, but we don't have the student population that they've had, and now that you've got these, I don't know how familiar you are with the Hope scholarships and the virtual schools, and my gosh, it's. I was talking to a buddy today, and in the virtual schools in Raleigh County, these are kids that don't have to go to school every day. They can get on the computer. There'll be 484 students this coming semester from Raleigh County, just getting on a computer and going to school, and that's a school right there.
Yeah,
and in a way you don't have to build a building for them, but you just wonder what it's going to be like on down the road. I'm not sure, if anybody's going to go to school in 10 years from that.
No.
Now, you used to be an officer in the Eagles Club too, weren't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They still have Eagles?
No, it's not here. They don't. No.
But they still have nationwide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, how long you been retired?
I retired the end of 2017, so 8 years. Yeah.
So you were in the county system how long?
29 years.
Well, what do you do now? I know you were involved with reunions and Sophia Museum and.
Yeah, Eric and I kind of oversee that museum down there. And it's have you ever been down there?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, and we've been fortunate enough to get some nice relics, and I'm sure there's a bunch more out there. I wished we would have known when they was throwing all the Sophia High School trophies away that we'd known about it, and so I went and got every one of them, and I'm sure Rick would have also. But we was 5 or 6, 7. We was able to scarf it. People went and got, and there's still a couple more out there. And like Bill Sellers, he's got his Alvinary trophy. He's told me he's going to bring it to me. He hasn't yet. But we got the state runner-up basketball trophy and a few other things.
Yeah.
But it'd been nice to have it all.
I was down there, went down with Eric when right after they had just about completed everything, and I thought it was real nice. Now, can people just go in there any time, or do you have to?
No, we don't have anybody there full time. If somebody wants to sit and let Eric's got a key and I got a key, if they'll get a hold of us, we make sure every 3 years we have a Sophia High School reunion all years, and we make sure we do all the registration and everything up there to give those people opportunity that's coming to the reunion to spend some time there and things of that nature. And sometimes, say the class 65, they're having their own reunions. They want to come up there. If they'll contact one of us, we'll take them up there and let them spend some time.
Now the reunions, of course, you're not That's the thing about having a reunion of a school that's no longer there. You're not increasing in numbers.
We're going the other way. Quick.
And how many people do you normally get at the?
When those things first started, when Don Farley and those started, we'd have 500-600 people at those things.
Really?
Yeah. We just had one this past summer, and we had about 140 people is what we had. But it seems like every 3 years, when you get to looking at who was there the prior one to what's, you lose 30, 40 people, that attended. So
it's not only people dying and stuff. A lot of times people get to a point age that they can't travel.
Yeah.
And they like to be there.
Yeah, and I get the emails from people all the time. Clayton, I'd like to be there, but I just can't make the trip anymore.
Of course, with today's technology, sometimes you might be able to do something about that with the Zooms and and those kind of things. And what's on your bucket list? What would you like to do that you haven't done, or someplace you'd like to go, or someplace?
I'm content. I play a lot of golf. I work a golf course at Stonehaven a couple of days a week.
Oh, do you?
Keeps me busy, and like I say, I still do some asbestos inspections on the side, supplement retirement, and
They gonna sell Stonehaven?
No, they can't sell Stonehaven.
Okay.
That's owned by POA, the members.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no way they can sell it now. Glade, they've been trying to sell forever. It's my understanding Justice got a new refinance on it, but the same old people run it now. I did hear they sold Grandview last week.
Well, I've heard that it was, of course, Randy had been trying to sell it for a few years. I don't know who bought it or anything, but what do you think about the city taking over Black Knight when they? I'm tickled to death that they have an open golf course just 3 miles maybe from my house. Yeah. But it doesn't look like it's profitable.
Oh, it's there's no way to make profit there.
Yeah.
The best situation for them is to go to West Virginia Tech and see if they can put their culinary school in there, and now they've got a West Virginia Tech golf team. Maybe they could take that thing over and it'd be subsidized. I don't know what the city's going to end up doing. They can't. The report come out they lose $600,000 a year. I don't think you can handle that.
Can't do that to me.
No, and I went to an outing. They had that singing Frank Sinatra and Friends the other night. I went last Thursday did, and the food was wonderful. It was great, and it's just a nice venue up there, but you can't withstand those kind of losses. So I don't know what's going to happen there, and it's like most golf courses, it gets run down. I'm sure it needs a new sprinkler system. All the irrigation's gone, and
and they keep wanting to add things downtown, and they're getting a few stores down there, but there's other than I think 80% of the buildings and stuff downtown are federal or county buildings.
They are anymore.
There's no place even really to expand much, because that's we'll let the next generation worry about that stuff. Well, Clayton, I appreciate you coming by and talking to us, and I've learned a little bit more about Sophia. Like I told Eric and people before, when I was down at the elementary school, Paul Craighead was the principal, and Miss Hartzog was one of the cooks, and I remember Ben Williams' wife was teaching there, and Miss Martin, and they were. I was the sixth grade basketball coach, which I was not much of a basketball player. I played elementary school, but when I applied for the job down there, Paul Craighead said, "You know anything about basketball?" And I said, "Not much. I know little." And he said, "Well, you're the sixth grade coach if you want this job." And I said, "Well, I'll take it." And Richard Colasurto was the eighth grade coach. So Richard played basketball.
Yeah, I know Richard.
And but I was very fortunate. I had Rich Blackburn and Dwayne Martin and those guys, Jeff Moran. Those guys could play.
Yeah.
And so we won in spite of my coaching.
Well, when I was in grade school, the Sophia Darters they were the team of the county. I mean, Ernie Nichols was the coach there, and Eric and all that bunch. They was used, we could play with everybody else. You couldn't play with them guys. They'd wear you out.
Well, we would, back then when I was coaching, we go at lunchtime. We'd play Midway. And lunchtime we go down, I think Mark Twain was still there.
Yeah.
Rodale. We play those teams around there at lunch. And I had a buddy that coached Central Elementary, and we'd go up to play in the rec building, and we get wore out when we go up there. I think they had Ron Kidd and those guys.
Yeah.
But I didn't go there too often. But it was I learned more basketball. But the people from Sophia were very good to me, and they were. Paul Craighead got me involved in politics, and anything he wanted me to do, I would do, because he was treated really good. And the cooks, I think I gained 20 pounds when I was working there. But
well, that was just a great area to grow up in, Midway and Sophia, and so all the feeder schools to Sophia High School. They were just all good people all around. I mean,
Do you live in Sophia?
No, I live in Beckley now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go to, every once in a while I'll make a trip over to Midway when I've been up to the museum or something, drive through there. But it seems like a different world when I was a kid, But,
well, some of those names I recognize. The guys I knew. I had Mike Fannery, I think, in class, and John Fannery, I think I didn't never had him, but I knew him. But some of the names I see people still trying to keep things going down there, and doing a pretty good job, I guess. But I appreciate you coming by.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and
enjoy talking with you, and until next time, anybody else who'd like to be on our podcast, we'll get you on here. Just hit me up at awbennett50@gmail.com, and remember, if you're not dead yet, you're not done yet. And this is Wayne Bennett, and God bless you.